News Radio 700 WLW.
Medical science continues to
It's unbelievable.
impress.
It's
And
unbelievable.
amaze.
And it gets, it's just incredible what it can do and how far it's come. We talked about this story yesterday. This is of David Bennett, 57-year-old Maryland man, and was in bad shape. Essentially, at the end of his rope, it was, kind of do something or else the inevitable was going to come. So in this last-ditch effort, they had tried this experimental procedure to put a pig heart, genetically modified, I might add, pig heart into him. And this was done so far successfully, and it's just incredible. And, you and I were talking about it yesterday, and we wanted to get a little more perspective. So let's go to the source and bring a doctor on, a cardiologist, Dr. Fahmi Farah. She's a cardiologist in Dallas, Texas. Dr. Farah, how are you?
Hey there, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
We're doing great. So Doctor, let's break this down a little bit. Let's talk about how are these hearts genetically modified so they're acceptable to a human body?
Yeah, so this pig heart that was transplanted, this pig has been bred for this purpose. They genetically modified, with from the time they were bred.
Okay.
So that it would be more compatible with when we transplant with humans. And additionally, I will say that pig hearts are very similar to human hearts. That's part of the reason why they chose a pig heart for this experiment.
So 4 chambers, right? Doesn't a heart have 4 chambers? Same thing with a pig heart?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, it has 4 chambers. The anatomy and physiology both are pretty similar to the human heart.
Gotcha. So explain the genetic modification. I assume this is done so the human body doesn't reject this, because that happens oftentimes, right? Sometimes you'll get an organ transplant, and for whatever reason, the body rejects it. I imagine under normal circumstances, the body would say, this is not a human heart, and kick that thing out,
Wow.
right? So
There was always problems with another human heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're absolutely correct. As you mentioned, another human heart, there's always we can run into organ rejection. It's called graft rejection. And, genetic modification is important because they need to have as much similarities as possible so that there's not a allograft rejection. But additionally, after a transplant, even if it's a human heart being transplanted into another human heart, we do have medications, immunosuppressant type medications that we usually place the patients on long term so that the rejection doesn't happen, so that the body can accept this new heart, so to speak, or any other organ for that matter.
So are we going to see more and more and more of this, I'm assuming, with livers, kidneys, etc.?
I sure hope so. I think this is huge. The fact that we can have a pig heart transplanted into a human, this opens doors for so many people, thousands of heart failure patients who are on the donor list. We have literally thousands of patients every year who are just on the list, and they don't get that heart available. To give you a perspective, worldwide each year we have about 5,000 human hearts available for transplant, which is not nearly enough for the number of people who are actually on the wait list. Wow. So this will open new doors is the hope.
So, doctor, let me ask you this. Does a pig heart, does it pump as much blood, more blood than a human heart does? What's the things to consider when doing this?
It should be very similar to how much a human heart can pump and needs to pump for it to be compatible. So, it'll be very much the same.
So, how long is this guy going to be under observation before you go, all right, you're free to go live your life?
I think it'll take quite a bit of time. The patient who got transplanted was on what's called ECMO. ECMO is a support device. It's a pretty high-level support device. So we have yet to see how he does coming out of the critical care need, and how long, how his survival will be. We also have to consider the comorbidity part, how well the quality of life will be. So many things would need to be taken under consideration, not just the mortality part, but the quality of life, how sustainable it is, availability, all of those things. And before it becomes mainstream, in other words, before we can say that it's available for everybody, it has to go through a lot of rigorous study, like we call those randomized controlled trials. So all those things would need to be done to see the risks, the benefits, all of those factors would need to be streamlined before it'll become approved for use for the mass public.
Wow, interesting. So, I mean, Eddie mentioned earlier about other organs being done. What's the next one that you think will be tried? I mean, given all the challenges and the modifications that need to be happening, in your expert opinion, what do you think is next?
I really think that heart transplant is one of the most difficult transplants out of all the organs. And if we can master heart transplant with coming from, a pig heart, then I really think this is promising, very promising for all the other organs following, just because of the complexity of heart transplant. The other organs, while they're difficult also, I really think that heart transplant is the most difficult transplant of all of them. So this is promising for all the other ones, like liver transplant, kidney transplant. So this is encouraging, very encouraging.
So are you aware of, because I assume someplace there is I don't know, for lack of a way to put it, a farm of these genetically altered pigs that they're raising a bunch of them?
Most likely. I mean, I'm not sure that there's a farm of them, but this pig that they genetically modified, they had to work with this pig for quite some time to even get it to that level to where they felt that it was safe and ready for it to be transplanted to a human. So I'm sure there was quite a bit of research that had to be done in the front end to even get that pig heart ready. And if it's something that's going to come in the future, which I'm sure it will, we can expect that, yes.
And Doc, I assume that this pig or the pigs like this are not running around in the slop like the normal pigs. I imagine this one has like an apartment with air conditioning. He's getting 3 meals a day.
Those beer massages they give those
got the
animals
Tempur-Pedic mattress, the whole thing, right?
That's right. And this is a very, very special pig.
Pig's living better than I am.
like,
Trust me, Doc. And I'm all for it, by the way. I'm all for it. You're saving lives. I'm talking on the radio for a living, all right? So there you go. Well, listen, Dr. Fahmi Farah, we really appreciate your time. If you want to follow her Twitter is at Fahmi J. Farah, cardiologist in Texas, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great stuff.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.